Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How are we doing today? Welcome to the Should You Pull for Legendary Banner of January, February, March, April, May. Should you pull for the May Legendary Banner? This is a tough one, a really tough one. I think this depends on a couple things. Let's just start with this. First, I think this really depends on if you are okay pulling with fodder. It's also if you really like Ryoma. Those are the two main things here. But let's get into each individual color and kind of take a look at each unit. Also hats. We're getting hats. That's so exciting, and I wanted to talk about it, but I did tell you guys I would do this instead. So let's get going on this one. First off here, we have Ryoma. Also, the only reason I'm using GamePress, I do like the wiki better, but GamePress had these easily laid out so I could click into them all. Gamepedia didn't yet, so it is what it is. We're on GamePress for the day. We talked all about Ryoma yesterday, and I think this is really going to be one where if you love Ryoma, go for it, but if you don't, then he's very passable. There's no skill inheritance there, really, and he is pretty solid. We don't know his stats yet. Like, we really can't say much about Ryoma until we see his stats, which should be out in about 12 hours now, maybe a little earlier. So you're gonna have to use your own judgment on Ryoma when we see the stats, and maybe we can talk in Discord about that too. But Ryoma is Ryoma. If you love him, by far go for him because he looks great. He looks like a lot of fun, and that's the most important thing for me in a legendary hero is he looks like a lot of fun. Next up we have Sigurd, and this one was super surprising to me considering he's already been on the legendary banner. He's a great unit, like a really great unit. His stat spread is pretty bonkers, and he also has some good fodder here. He comes with all the way down to the bottom. Why I don't like GamePress as much. He comes with Post Defense 3 and Speed Smoke 3 as his fodder. So he's actually really good fodder if it comes to it and it's something you're interested in. Again, I don't like pulling for fodder. I don't think it's fun, so I don't do it. But he's a great one-up too. He's going to be great in a lot of arena assaults, and he's just a really solid character. Even off of Horse Emblem, he's still fantastic. Next up, we have Young Tiki, and this one is another one we can't really weigh in on yet. We don't know what her weapon's going to be, but Young Tiki, as it is a fantastic unit, but unfortunately, she's not really accessibly mergeable, and we did see that Adult Tiki is going to get the same weapon as Young Tiki does, from what I could read. So they're going to be able to do the same thing, and Adult Tiki is going to be merged much higher. There's also a lot of complaint in Young Tiki's skill set or stat line. People might think Adult Tiki is better, so there's that to consider as well. And she has absolutely no fodder. Her skill set is just atrocious. She comes with Armored Blow, Breath of Life 3, Glowing Flame, and Flame Tongue. Just like the worst skill set ever. So there's zero skill inheritance there, but I do think she's going to be fantastic after this update. There's no way they do her wrong because she's such a popular unit. She's such a loved unit, and I really do hope she gets a place to play right now, because I have a +01 on my main, but unfortunately she doesn't have Lightning Breath. I didn't want to give her Lightning Breath, and I've just kind of been waiting for this moment. So it doesn't really matter what this weapon does. I'm probably going to refine it like instantly just so I can start using her and build her up. I'm so excited for this one. But as for pulling for her, definitely wait to see her refine if you're worried, because we don't know, right? We don't know what it's going to be. Next up, there's Gunthra. We've talked all about Gunthra, and she is what she is. She's got Resploy, if anything, for fodder, but I would never do that. I'm always happy with Gunthra merges, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on Gunthra, as we talked about in Twitch chat last night. I think she's absolutely insane. Like, I think she's an insane horse. I love her so much, and you could go Gromblade or something like that, but I do think her Blizzard Tome is just so much fun, and the further we progress into the game, I think the better Gunthra is going to be. The more large-scale battles, the more meaningful battles, the more maybe even raid battles in the future where somebody has monster stats. I think she's just going to prove her worth as we go further on into this game. So if you don't have a Gunthra, she's really fun to use, and she's definitely an okay pity breaker if you're going for one of the two other greens. Speaking of okay pity breakers, I think this is the star of the banner for the average player. If you do not have New Year's Azura, I think she's quite possibly the best dancer in the game. She's definitely better than Bride Ninian IMO. Her stat line is pretty low but serviceable, and she comes with Honed Flyers. Any dancer that comes with Honed Flyers in their base kit is just so good. Like, I really think if you do not have this unit, and especially if you don't have Bride Ninian, you need to pull for green here just to try to get Azura, because she is so good. The difference a Honeflyer's Dancer makes is like night and day. Your GHBs will get easier, your chain challenges will get easier, your arena assault is basically an auto win when you bring her in. I can't give enough good praise on this unit. She is so unbelievably good, and her IVs don't really matter. You obviously want something good, but if you get terrible IVs on her, it's okay, it doesn't matter. She's still going to do her job fine, especially if you give her something like Triangle Adept to kind of handle those kills, which is what I gave mine. And I just can't say enough good things about her. Like, I praise dancers, period, and then a flying dancer comes in with a good set and Hone Flyers, and it's just like, can't even handle it. So definitely, if you are not having Bride Ninian and you don't have Azura, definitely pull for her. And even if you have Bride Ninian, if you have the orbs and you're okay with these other two pulls in green, definitely go for it. Speaking of the other pull in green here, we have Winter Chrom. And I love this guy. Look at his stat line, 35, 29 defense. He is perfect for arena assault. I bring him in against all of the dragons except for Tiki now. He handles all sorts of melee. He handles all sorts of dragons. He's just perfect without any support, really. I never bring him in with another armor. I just kind of use him as is. And I think he's super slept on too, just because he's not really as accessible. But as a one-of, he's an insane unit. Alternatively, his weapon is so fun to give to other people. I would never do that, but it's just a thing you could do if you want to give somebody a stack of gifts, like Arthur or something. I've seen a couple Arthur with stacks of gifts. So as for his fodder, he has Brazen Attack Defense 3, which doesn't really do the most right now, unfortunately, and Wary Fighter. So he's not going to be there for fodder outside of Sack of Gifts, but I actually really enjoy Sack of Gifts. It's actually a really solid weapon. And it really helps his bulk against everything. So definitely, if you don't have this guy and you don't have Azura, I would for sure be pulling green. At least pull until you get one Chrom, and then maybe back out if you don't want to get a second Chrom, and that's my advice for green. Green is definitely probably close to the best here, depending on what your account is going for. Especially as someone who needs kind of help in these things, you're probably going to want these more than anything else. Next up, we have the actual best color here, which is blue. We have our Fjorm here, who is one of my favorite units in the game still, and this is kind of what makes her legendary. Like, having Ice Mirror, one of the things I talk about is they really need something that makes them feel legendary, and I think Fjorm does that perfectly. I love this unit to death, and I can't wait to plus 10 her, and you obviously have one already, so if you're not interested in merging her, it's not really too good to pull for her, but she's a fantastic pity breaker. You could eventually get her to plus 10 sometime next year or something like that, so don't be worried if you pull Fjorms here. But more importantly, we have these two babies here. We have Winter Robin with a great stat spread, 35-25. I also use this to handle every dragon except for green ones, and also basically anything else. He's a physical wall as well. He's super speedy, 35-34 attack speed spread. He is so unbelievably good, and I use him in almost every single arena assault. I love using him. He's amazing, and if you don't have him, definitely you should try to pull for him if you have the orbs ready. His Tannin Boom is actually a really good weapon, surprisingly, not to mention it's a Christmas tree, so it's really fun to use. And for fodder, he is prime fodder. He's got Armor March 3 and Brazen Attack Speed 3. He is the only person in the game with Brazen Attack Speed 3, so if you are a whale or really like pulling for stuff like this, this is the only place to get him, and boy oh boy is this a good color to get him on. I would never do this. If you're a newer player trying to figure out if something like Brazen Attack 3 Speed is worth it, it absolutely isn't. Just use something else instead. Use Fury, use Brazen Attack Defense, use something else instead. It's not worth sacrificing this as a newer player unless you're a whale IMO. So that's my take on him. And Armor March is obviously great too. If you're using an armor team, you need Armor March, but you could also just put him on your team with Armor March. Finally, for blue, the big one here, this is Hardin. And boy, oh boy, is Hardin something else. He is the best blue in the game, I think. Pretty close to the best blue anyway. He is absolutely ridiculously insane, like super duper insane. If you don't have Hardin and you do like Hardin, this is definitely somebody you should be pulling for. And not to mention the best skill inheritance in the game too. He's also comes with Bold Fighter 3, which is something you can't get anywhere else, and it is the most ridiculous skill in the history of the world right now. So Hardin is 10 out of 10 right now. His fodder is 10 out of 10, and his scoring is 10 out of 10. Everything about him is absolutely great, and if you're looking for an armor unit, you've got one right here. He does it so well, and make sure, even as a whale, you're going to be wanting to get some of these because you've got Bold Fighter. As a free-to-play player, you're going to be wanting these because he carries you so hard, and you can give Bold Fighter to your favorite unit if you want to do it that way too. And Bold Fighter is something worth sacrificing a unit for, kind of like Steady Breath. I actually think it's like almost more powerful than Steady Breath. Maybe it is more powerful, especially in higher tier arenas. Like, I don't know if you ran in plus 10 male Grimas with Bold Fighter or something like that. You just like get wrecked. Even if you're red, you just get super duper wrecked. So definitely take a look at Hardin here because he is perfect. And finally, we have the bad color, the absolute bad color. I would not go in here at all. We've got Robin, and yes, she is amazing. Yes, she comes with res smoke if you really want, and yes, she's fantastic to be mergeable, but there will be other chances for Robin. Next month is also Robin as a legendary unit, so I guarantee you next colorless month will be better than this. So definitely don't go into this colorless unless you really want to. We also have Innis here, who is not my favorite unit. I really like his character, but I don't like his stat spread whatsoever. And his skill set is not the greatest either. He comes with Fortress Res, Cancel Affinity, shows no fodder at all. I mean, at least he comes with Iceberg, right? So definitely Innis, skip this guy unless you have a love for him, which I understand because he's such a great character and personality. And finally, we have New Year's Takumi, or Takumi, one of those two. Kind of the same thing here. I'm not really super happy with him for some reason. I just like don't have any reason to use ninjas yet. I don't have any reason to use daggers yet. They have 34-34 spread, which is like amazing, right? But he just doesn't excel at anything. His mochi is actually pretty solid, but there's just like, I don't know, there's just like no reason to use them for me. I just have no effort. Like, I never bring them in. I don't remember the last dagger I brought in an arena assault. For some reason, they just never pop up. I never want to use them. But he's Takumi, and his skill set is okay, and he is a lot of fun. So maybe there's that if you love Takumi. He has no fodder from what I can see. He's got attack res bond, which is not something you really want, and bow breaker, which is not something you really want. But his weapon, if you are interested in putting that on somebody, is maybe a good idea because it is a fantastic weapon. So there you go, guys. We just did a really quick run through of this banner here. And my general opinions on what you should do for this banner after we go through all the units. Red, we need to find out. We don't know for sure for another 12 hours or maybe even until the banner comes out. We need to see Ryoma's stats and we need to see Tiki's refine. But in general, if you need any of these three units and you're okay with any of these three, it's definitely worth pulling at least until you get one of them and then stop, because I don't want two Sigurds, for example. I don't want another Tiki, but if I didn't have Tiki, I would for sure pull until I got at least one of them and then backed out. So that's my advice for here too, unless of course you love Ryoma and then go for him. As for green here, this is also great. If you don't have flying Azura, she's 100% worth it. She's so good. So good, and she will carry all of your content, every last bit of your content. It doesn't matter what it is, she's going to carry it. Even if you have only one other flyer that can really do things, maybe a Ryoma, maybe a Hinoka, maybe a Noe, maybe a female Morgan. Literally anybody you can pair her with is just going to be a monster, so definitely pull for her if you can. And same with Chrom here. I definitely feel like green is a really solid choice. If you don't have either of these three units, definitely pull for them. And just pray you get Azura. And if you get Azura, just back out and live another day and wait for another month, because next month, we'll talk about that at the end, is probably going to be amazing. As for blue, this is one you should know if you want to pull or not. You have Brazen Attack Speed as a whale. I think this is like the perfect whale color, by the way. You have Bold Fighter Fodder. You have the best +10 blue unit in the game, I think. This is such a powerful color and probably the best blue we've ever had, maybe the best color we've ever had ever. So if you really want to go nuts here, definitely go nuts, but you need to know what you want. It's not worth going nuts here if you don't need Bold Fighter, if you don't want to merge Hardin up, if you don't need Armor March, it's not worth it. But if you do need any of those things, 100% go all in on this color because it is so good. My alt may be going in on this color just because we do need Bullfighter there, so that is great. And as for Colorless, just skip it unless you have a love for these units. If you want Robin, wait another month. This is not the month to go for Robin. Definitely skip. So overall here, I'm going to rate red like a 7 out of 10, maybe plus or minus depending on what happens. I'm going to rate green like an 8 out of 10. I'm going to rate blue a 10 out of 10, and I'm going to rate Colorless like a 3 out of 10. So there you go, guys. As for next month, this is what you really need to be worried about, because you may want to save your orbs for then, because next month green should be Winterlissa. It's very possible male Grima is with them with the previous Hardin, the previous Fallen Celica on the banner, so that could be the best green in the history of the world. And also next month is a new green legendary hero, so keep that in mind too. So it'll be Winterlissa and a new legendary hero that you may want, and that's just like mind-blowing to me, the fact that that's a thing, and that's a thing that can happen. It's also very likely the next green unit is an axe unit, so super great. It could be Hector, it could be an armored axe unit too, which would just be like super insane, so keep that in mind. We also should get Winter Tharja next month as well, so if you want red, then that is fantastic, but I don't think Ryoma is next month. I think it is Vike instead. So yeah, be very careful with this banner is what I'm trying to say with how good next legendary banner was going to be. We've been kind of talking about it internally, and we figured either this month or next month was going to be like through the roof insane. So because this one is great but not insane, we do think next month is going to just be super great. So that's about it, guys. As for what I'm going to do, I will for sure be pulling on my alt a little bit in blue. I think I need to skip on my main, because after the shenanigans with Bride Nidian, which we still have to upload to YouTube, we have no money and we have no orbs left, so I think we have to skip this one. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and if you disagree with anything, please let me know in the comments and we can chat about it. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye now.